I'm Kat.
I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy, the podcast where two teachers unwind, sip wine, and each teach a lesson we can't teach at school. What are we drinking, Hayley?
Finally, this week we're actually drinking wine.
Woo!
We have box wine, our One True Love Nighthawk Black, a lush Pinot Noir.
And it is so good. Actually, I took a sip and winced because it was so sweet because I haven't had this wine in a while. It is sweet.
It is sweet. I just got some stuck in the back of my throat and I was like, is this when I'm going to die? Okay, this wouldn't be a bad death.
I don't know why, but I didn't used to think it was sweet, but now I think after drinking good wine for so long, it tastes sweet.
I see the light now. Yes, there's a clear difference, but you can't beat the price. You can't beat the price of the Boda box, bitch.
You really can't. And I went on quite the adventure finding it today. I went to Kroger and then got in the parking lot and it was gridlock in the parking lot. Every single spot was taken. The driveways through the parking lot were back-to-back traffic, and I sat in there for 5 minutes just trying to get out because I was like, I can't.
Oh,
and
hell
then
no.
Went to the liquor store, and then the liquor store near us, I love it. It's in this weird shack, and everything is dusty, and you feel like you walked into the Twilight Zone. And so I really had to hunt for my box of wine because there's no rhyme or reason in there, which I love. And I found it, and then so now we have wine.
Wow, thank you for going through all of that.
I feel like I was on The Hobbit. I
You're
went
going on
quest.
an adventure.
Yes, I fought the dragon that is our local liquor store.
Hearing about the Kroger parking lot like that is giving me PTSD flashback to COVID. When it first got announced and we got out of school, I stopped by the grocery store. We literally had no food.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I guess we're just not eating tonight because it was impossible to get anywhere.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
I know.
That's a buried memory. And when we had our snowpocalypse this year where it snowed 6 inches in Memphis, but for us that's a lot, and there was nothing.
Everything was shut down for 2 weeks.
Yeah, everything. Alec and I, we needed something from the grocery store, and we're just gonna do it. It was 10 degrees outside, and the grocery store was a block away from us. It's not Kroger, it's a different grocery store. And we walked there, and it took us forever because the snow was so deep, and it was freezing, and we got there and it was closed because nobody could get to work. When it snows in Memphis, you're done for.
Yeah, everything was shut the F down.
Yeah.
I walked to Walgreens because I started dyeing my extensions during the snowpocalypse and I didn't have enough, so I had to go back, and then they didn't have it. And I'm the type of person who, once I start something, I really want to finish it and get it done. So then I walked to the dollar store and got dollar store hair dye.
Did it work?
Yeah, it worked fine, but then it did end up washing out a little bit, which then led me to dyeing it black. So
yeah, I should have bought dollar store hair dye because I dyed them way too dark brown, and now they're way too dark for my hair, and I can't figure out how to lighten them properly.
Maybe a 20 volume.
Maybe. I'm scared of damaging them. I think I'm just going to sell them. So if you want to buy my hair extensions, let me know.
You could sign them, put on a Patreon level.
I could. I'll sell them on Patreon.
The infamous Katya Barnhart of Night Classy is selling her fake hair that she bought.
They are 14 inches dark brown. I'll sell them to you for $50. Hit me up. It's a full set.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, what else is new? We're back in the studio right now.
Thank fucking God. I had, I always have a great time recording. Not last week. I had the worst time. And then it came out that I was confused about your lesson. I somehow missed that you weren't doing Amityville Horror. And I was just confused and uncomfortable the whole time. Because I was I don't remember any of this. Did she research the wrong thing? But it turns out you were doing something totally different.
I was comparing the Wells house to Amityville.
Okay.
Because all the references I saw compared to, it's this is the real life Amityville house.
Okay. I was just, maybe I knew that. And then Alec gaslit me after. He's like, Kat, you kept bringing up Amityville. She wasn't talking about Amityville. And I was just confused. So I want to apologize if anyone was screaming at their phone, because of my confused comments.
Alec was half listening. He didn't even take notes.
It was
the microphone was so sensitive it could hear if I was taking notes.
Yeah,
I bet.
It was so sensitive. I was just uncomfortable because like I didn't like want to move the whole time because the microphone was picking everything up, and I could barely hear you because I don't know if you guys know this, but we had to do it like on speakerphone in order for me to be able to hear Hayley through my headphones. Like we had to like call each other because Zoom wasn't working, and it was just a fucking mess. So I'm so glad we're back here.
Yeah, total shit show. So if you guys don't think we love you, we do.
We do. That took entirely too long to record.
Right. We could have been like 1 week hiatus. We gotta
could
take a
have.
summer break.
No vacations here.
Heck no.
All work, no play.
Ever. Except for Thursday night.
Yeah. And vacation's like freaking over for me. I start work in just a couple days.
Right. You're looking the school year right in the face, and I'm
Right
not far
down the
behind
barrel.
you.
I'm excited though. Like I'm starting somewhere new. I get to move into a new classroom. Like I'm ready.
I am too. I would like to say on the record, as I always say, last week you called me a lying bitch for saying that me using Uber Eats money for my classroom is a lie. I have bought so much shit for my classroom.
Good.
And I may be a lying bitch, but not about that.
I'm glad. I bought a ton for my classroom too. I need to get on Uber Eats because my bank account is not looking good right now.
Same.
I went to Target yesterday.
Target always does it. I stopped in there in between Uber Eats, just like I wasn't getting any orders, and I walked out having spent like $45. I was like, I didn't even like plan anything.
It sucks you in. And like for some reason, like I have a new passion for buying containers. And so I walked in Target and bought so many containers yesterday.
Yes.
I don't even know what I'm going to put in them, but I have them. They're ready.
I bought 12 like cardboard bins that like standing ones that you put papers in. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to use these for, but they were 50 cents. So I got them. And then I was like, oh, I could use them for like monthly sorting things. I was like, okay, I saved myself there with that one. But what is so pleasing about getting storage stuff? Because I feel it too.
Yeah, I think I just like fantasize about being an organized person because I'm not one.
Right.
And so buying containers makes me feel like I'm going to be that person, and then I never will be.
But that moment of buying it just brings that dopamine to the brain. You're feeling good. You're feeling like you're going to be organized. It feels like that would be the first step to being organized, but
really just buying anything gives me that dopamine. So I don't know why it's containers. I Snapchatted Hayley yesterday. I bought like this gigantic, and when I say gigantic, like I truly mean gigantic box of hair accessories.
You could fit 4 boxes of shoes in that thing.
Easily. And it's just full of scrunchies and giant claw clips, and I have them in literally every color. So I'm going to wear a different color scrunchie or claw clip every day forever the school year. I'm excited. The kids are gonna love it.
One of those like Amazon things where you can bid on boxes that people like returned or whatever. Shit. Yeah, and then that would have been a good find.
It's a good find. They've got some heft to them. I have one holding up my hair right now, so things are going well.
All right. Well, send me the link because I'm interested too. Or I might just come down and steal some of yours.
Yeah, you can have as many as you want. I don't care. I have way too many. I only have one head of hair.
Yeah, if you guys didn't hear, Kat enjoyed cutting her hair out so much a couple months ago. She just really wanted to embrace the bald spot look that she kept one singular hair.
It's getting longer. It's gotten to the point where when I put my hair up in a ponytail, I don't have a tail sticking out underneath my ponytail.
I love it so much. That's what I need. That was the biggest rush of dopamine for me. Not even buying things. It was you revealing that you had a bald spot in the back of your head and giving me a strand of your hair.
I'm still waiting for you to give me some of your hair. It was a token of friendship that's meant to be reciprocated.
I have something coming for you.
Really?
It's been in the works, so.
You're making something?
Maybe.
Does it contain a part of your body?
It depends.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't want to give
like,
anything.
If you consider my creative juices part of my body, my blood, sweat, and tears.
I'm going to give you my used underwear so you can resell it.
I would accept. I had a whole dream the other night and I like woke up and I wasn't sure if it was a real or a dream about me selling feet pics. And I came up with this perfect strategy on how to sell feet pics and make money.
What is it?
Well, first you make an Instagram account of like some pictures of you and some pictures of your feet looking real cute. And then you just go and follow everyone who follows the foot fetish Instagram. And then they message you and ask for feet pics because you posted such cute pictures of your feet on your Instagram. And then you make money.
Yeah, it sounds like a perfect plan. Not only are you horse girl now, you are foot girl. You make a footsta, a finsta, but
to be clear, for like employment reasons, I do not sell my feet pics. I mean, no shame in the game if you do. I mean, I've fantasized about it myself, but like I don't.
But Claudia Severa does.
Claudia Severa would for the right price. Let's just say that.
What is the minimum amount of money you would take for some of your feet pics?
Let's not get into it because it's probably not high enough.
Same. Okay. Well, moving on. Smooth transition. Enough about the feet.
Probably the most exciting part of my week was getting invited to our friend Justin's wedding of What the Gays Say podcast.
I am so fucking excited.
I'm so ready.
Me too. I haven't been to Charleston in
Charlotte.
Charlotte? Oh, I thought it was in Charleston.
I thought it was in Charlotte.
You said flying to Charlotte.
She said Charleston. Charleston.
No, I know. I was looking at you, Kat. You told me we were flying into Charlotte. That's why I thought Charlotte.
I think it is Charlotte.
Maybe
Okay.
it's
Let me read.
Charleston.
Charleston's in South Carolina.
I
I
think
thought
it
it
is
was in
Charlotte.
South Carolina. Where are we going? We've never met him in person.
they
if
live
you guys
in
can't
North
tell.
Carolina.
We don't need to know right now. Let me rephrase that. I'm so excited to go to a wedding.
The tickets are booked. We're headed to Charleston, South Carolina.
Justin gets so offended listening to this episode that we don't know exactly where he lives, that he's like,
uninvites
never
us.
mind.
No, but I think it's so fun that like a friend we met through podcasting, like never met in person. We get to go to his wedding. That was so kind of him to invite us, and I literally can't wait.
Same here. So excited to meet you, Justin and Zach. And if you guys haven't listened, go check them out at What the Gays Say.
Yes, it's a great podcast. Well, that's all I've got. Do you have anything?
Actually, yes, I do have a funny story. Okay, so it was when I was trying to fill up my water bottle the other day, and I had like just put on all my fake tan in the water bottle. Like I didn't have the lid on it. Did I tell you this already?
No,
I must have told somebody else.
It sounds
Okay.
traumatic already.
Oh my God. Okay. So I put ice in there. I'm pouring the water in, and then I lift it up to like turn around and grab the lid to put on it, and I drop it and it falls, but it lands upright. But all of the water ricochets from the shock of hitting the floor and goes straight up and soaks my lady bits with cold water because I'm just wearing a robe with nothing on underneath. And then all of the fake tan is like a dropping.
And then your lady bits are pale and the rest of you is tan.
Yes, well, I wasn't tan on the inside of my legs anymore because all the water.
It looked like you peed your pants.
It really
after
did.
getting a spray tan.
If I had pants on, it would have looked like I had peed my pants. But yeah, it was a literal shock.
Oh my God, that sounds awful. And it reminds me, you got 17 magazine when you were a kid?
Yes.
And the best part of 17 magazine was the Trauma-Rama section at the end where people told their embarrassing stories. And there was one that like really stuck with me. She was getting a spray tan for homecoming and then like peed herself during the spray tan because she was like so nervous and the spray tan was so cold. And then she had like pee dribble like marks going down her leg and then just had to go to homecoming like that. And she had a short dress and I have trouble controlling my bladder. And then after reading that, I used to get spray tans twice a week. Like I literally would go in all the time and get spray tans. And every time I'd get a spray tan, I'd like be like, don't pee, don't pee, don't pee. Cause I just like felt like it was going to happen to me.
That would have definitely been me. Yes, I have bladder issues as well. The sound of a garage door opening one time made me pee my pants. So
It happens.
it was probably me in an alternate universe.
Yeah. It's a tough life to lead.
Man, 17 magazine. What a fucking
Yeah.
throwback.
It really is. I've gotten really into there's like a TikToker, I forget her name, but she like went to her parents' house and found like all these 17 magazines from like the early 2000s, and she'll like flip through them and make TikToks, and the nostalgia is
I
just
need
unbelievable.
to find out that TikToker's name.
I know, and I wish I would have kept mine because my uncles, like, they just didn't know what to get for a teenage girl or like preteen girl, so they'd get me a subscription to 17 magazine for my birthday every single year for like 10 years.
That's perfect.
It was perfect. I loved it. I loved getting them, and I wish I had kept them.
I remember being in 6th grade and looking at the outfits that they would wear or like show in the magazine and being like, it looks so good in the magazine, but literally if I ever wore that in real life,
The outfits
people would
they
have
put
been
in there
like,
were crazy.
Yes.
They were psychotic.
like the jeans with the dress and the belts
Yeah,
and
and
just
the
every
skinny,
accessory.
sparkly scarf, every accessory, like the costume jewelry. Do you remember when we'd wear like those huge, like beaded necklaces, like from the 80s?
Oh my God, they were so in. Yes.
I know, and I feel like they're coming back, like with the like people now are into like those little plastic beads. The big ones are coming.
Oh,
Brace
yes.
yourselves.
What goes up must come down. Now we need Going on 30 magazine, not 17.
Oh God, don't say that. I know. I remember getting 17 magazine in like 5th grade and thinking 17 was so old.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to be practically grown.
Yeah.
I knew nothing. I still don't know anything.
Or listening to Taylor Swift's like 15, like that song came out when we were like 12. And I was
Ew,
like, wow,
don't say that to me.
So grown
Don't
up.
say that. All right. Well, that was my funny story. Shall we get into it?
Yeah. We breathalyzed. I blew a .028.
I blew a .022.
So I get to go first. And oh boy, I have a fucking story for you. Buckle up because it's going to be a long and dramatic ride.
Oh God, I'm scared.
You should be scared. This is a scary one. So in 1983, 14-year-old Wendy Stevens ran away from her home in Colorado. And I don't know about you, but when I was 14 and I'd run away from home, I like one time I had gotten in a fight with my mom and I like left the house barefoot, and I like thought this was like the most dramatic like Hilary Duff movie moment of my life.
That's just dumb.
And yeah, and I walked like a block away and that was it. This girl went all the way to Washington State. She really ran away from home, and she ended up in the dark, rainy, mountainous outskirts of Seattle, Washington. She would never be seen again, at least not alive. More than 35...
Wow, spoiler alert.
This is not a spoiler. More than 35 years later, skeletal remains would be found near Washington State baseball field. And thanks to the work of the DNA Doe Project, the DNA of the remains was matched to Wendy. So Wendy is now believed to be the youngest victim of Gary Ridgway, aka the Green River Killer.
Ew.
Dun, dun, dun.
I literally got goosebumps. I don't know if it was the story or the fan at my toes. It's hard to say. Maybe both.
The fan at my toes.
It keeps turning and like it'll give me a little breeze on my toes and legs.
It
It's
is
giving me flashbacks from the water bottle
I'm
incident.
grooming
Oh,
you for
God.
feet pics.
You got to get those goosebumps on the toes.
Yeah, I didn't know you could goosebumps on the toes.
We have fans on the floor because they interfere with the microphones if they're at chest level, everybody. Just
Yeah.
wanted to clear the air.
Clear the air.
Literally.
All right. Well, I just got back from Washington, Western Washington, King County, right outside of Seattle. And my family has lived there for a really long time, through the 60s, 70s, 80s. They all have stories about their run-ins with Ted Bundy or the Green River Killer. Like people...
Really?
Yeah.
Your family does?
Yeah. I mean, not like run-ins with them, but like, oh, like by my house, Ted Bundy used to dump bodies. Like, oh, like my friend, I saw Ted Bundy's Volkswagen, like the day like of the first murder. Like everyone has a story. Like if you grew up in that area during that time, you have a story. So I was there just hearing all these stories, and it made me want to cover Green River Killer. I thought about
Put
doing
you in
Ted
a
Bundy.
spooky little mood.
A spooky little mood.
Yeah, I don't know that much about the Green River Killer.
Yeah. Which is crazy because he's literally like the most prominent, like has the most victims of any serial killer in the United States ever until I think kind of recently. There was another one.
Yeah. Well, I think the universe knew that one day I would start a podcast with someone who loves spooky things. And so I just held off on listening to podcasts and documentaries and shit like that.
Good, because this one is fucking crazy. And I grew up like knowing about Gary Ridgway, like that he existed, but there's a lot of crazy shit to this. So get ready. And by the way, content warning, like for pretty much everything. If you're like at all squeamish about like any kind of violence, just skip this one. So Gary Ridgway, like I said, was one of the most prolific serial killers in the history of the United States. He had as many as 75 to 80 victims over a span of 21 years. And most of his victims, I think, were within like the first 5 years of his spree. Once he got remarried to his third wife, they kind of slowed down. So there was like a span of 5 years that was really crazy. And he was an Aquarius, which is actually like a rare sign for serial killers.
What is the most prevalent sign for serial killers?
Virgo.
Geminis? Virgo?
Yeah. Do you know any Virgos?
I'm a Virgo.
You are a Virgo. Fuck. I knew it as soon as that question came out of my mouth.
So you do know when my birthday is. You just like to hurt my feelings.
I still don't know your birthday. Don't kid yourself.
Oh my God. I just thought of something.
What?
My birthday is September, which is the 9th month, and the day is the 18th. 9 plus 9 is 18. 9/18. It's math. It can help you remember.
That does not help. I'm confused.
Oh, well,
9
never
plus
mind.
9.
Yeah.
What about the 2?
I don't know. I'm just
How do we
saying,
know?
like, how do I know?
How do we know to like multiply it by 2?
I don't know. It just seems like, 9, 18, all the other multiples after that.
Yeah, I'll remember your birthday now.
I'll try to remember. No promises.
The day is double the month.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's a Virgo, so everyone watch out for Hayley. He was born in Salt Lake City, Utah in 1949. He was the middle child to his parents, Mary and Thomas Ridgway. His dad was a bus driver, and his dad would complain about the presence of sex workers on his bus. He didn't like that they'd ride his bus. Overall, I know.
Daddy did not like it when they rode his bus.
He did not like it. But that hatred of sex workers wore off on Gary. He did not have a good childhood. His mother has been described as domineering, which why does every serial killer's mom get described that way? It sounds like his dad was an asshole too.
I mean, I don't really know why. I feel like men are just kind of generally kind of a-holes and women can tend to be more
and men are
nurturing.
Often domineering. So I guess I guess it's not
a domineering woman. Whoa,
my stars. No, but his mom was fucking awful. Ridgway had a bedwetting problem until he was 13, and whenever he wet the bed, his mom would aggressively wash his genitals.
That's not domineering at all.
Okay. Definitely very abusive.
Alec, you can speak to this.
Yes, all men's rights.
Oh my God.
Just kidding.
Let him have the soap.
What?
I don't know.
Later in life, Gary would tell psychologists that as an adolescent, he had feelings of both anger and sexual attraction toward his mother, and he often fantasized about killing her. He was dyslexic. He struggled in school. He was held back for a year in high school, which is around the time that he committed his first documented violent crime. At 16 years old, Ridgway lured a 6-year-old boy into the woods, where he stabbed him through the ribs and liver. Thank God the boy survived, but Ridgway's later victims would not fare so well. Ridgway graduated from Tyee High School near SeaTac, Washington in 1969, and then right out of high school, he married his 19-year-old high school sweetheart, Claudia Craig.
Claudia.
We got a Claudia here. After he got married, he then joined the U.S. Navy, and why the fuck he was allowed to join the Navy at what I assume was 18 or 19, which was just a couple years after he attempted to murder a child.
Well,
it's just
it's not like they knew that he murdered, or they knew that he murdered.
I feel like the U.S. Navy should have the right to know that he tried to murder a child. Like,
Yeah,
I assume he was
what's he
charged.
gonna do? Oh, they found out that it was him?
I think so. Actually, that's a good question. I don't really know, but I assume they did. Like, the boy got stabbed and
I
lived.
think that he would have like served jail time.
Yeah, but maybe since he was a minor, I don't know. That's a good question.
It doesn't sound like he was caught. Because, what are the odds that
Yeah.
the 6-year-old knew who he was unless he did it to a 6-year-old that he knew?
That's true. That's a good point, Hayley.
Thank you.
Yeah. But regardless, he went active duty in Vietnam. He served on a supply ship, but he did see combat.
Oh, good. More trauma.
Yeah, more trauma, more violence. And during his time in Vietnam, Ridgway frequently saw sex workers. Through seeing sex workers, he contracted gonorrhea, and this really pissed him off. He always had this weird thing where he hated sex workers, but still was their client all the time. And even after he got gonorrhea, he still had sex with sex workers without protection.
What a dick.
His marriage ended within a year. I think there was infidelity on both sides. I think she was also cheating on him. Just wasn't a good fit. Ridgway is described by friends and family as friendly but strange. So he was pretty social, and he seemingly had no problem convincing another woman to marry him pretty quickly after his first marriage ended.
It's that serial killer charisma.
Yeah.
Kicking in.
I think he was a little bit charismatic. He was definitely sort of a weird guy, but he was not antisocial. And his new wife's name is Marcia Winslow. Together, they had a son, Matthew, in 1975. And during their marriage, Ridgway became super religious, super, super extreme Christian. He was going door to door and proselytizing. He'd read the Bible every night after work. He was known to cry during sermons or while he was reading the Bible. And he also made his wife follow super strict rules that were dictated by his pastor.
Right. One night he's going to sleep and his eyes shoot open and he's like, holy shit, I got to get saved.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's again, I feel like this weird thing for him. He hates sex workers, but he sees them. He is super religious. I feel like it just...
repressing something.
Repressing, yes. And his wife reports that he would occasionally get physically abusive. He once put her in a chokehold. So he was a controlling, abusive asshole to her, but then super religious. And according to other women in his life, he was a sex fiend. Ex-wives and girlfriends report him demanding sex constantly, sometimes several times per day. He'd want to do it in weird places. He also had a habit of contracting sex outside of his marriage. So he was always seeing sex workers, and he would complain about sex workers, complain that they were in his neighborhood, but then he was a customer. Often when he paid for sex, he would insist that the session occur in public or in the woods. He always wanted to do it kind of out. Sometimes these were areas of the woods where bodies of his victims would later be discovered.
I'm sorry, I'm not saying anything. I'm just disgusted.
Yeah, he was a disgusting man. Anyway, Ridgway did not just pay for sex workers' services and sleep with them. His relationship with them went sadly beyond that. So his murder spree would begin in 1982 and would continue through the 90s. He's believed to have murdered at least 71 teenage girls and young women in the Seattle and Tacoma area.
During that time period, those 5 years?
It was about 12 years.
Oh, okay.
But the vast majority, I think 50 of his victims were killed within 5 years. So,
oh my gosh, what does that average out to?
Almost
month?
one a month.
Oh my God.
It was a lot. But most, if not all of his victims were sex workers or runaways. So a lot of times their disappearances didn't get reported or police didn't care. And so he was able to do this for a really long time. Ridgway usually picked them up by soliciting sexual services. Sometimes, and this is just so fucked up, he'd show them a picture of his son to get them to trust him enough to get in his car. And
bad sign.
yeah,
Bad sign.
it's just so awful. And also, I skipped this bullet point, but he would pick them up mostly along Highway Pacific South, like on kind of like a seedy part where he was, I mean, there were women out there offering their services, pretty easy to find. And this is about to get like extremely graphic, so I just want to give everyone a heads up. Ridgway would have sex with his victim from behind, and while he was doing that, he'd wrap his arm around their neck while using his other arm to pull back against like a tree or his car as hard as he could, and then that would, strangle them. And he usually did this in a wooded area, his truck, or another secluded area. And then he would dump bodies in wooded areas around the Green River, SeaTac Airport, or other places around South King County. And my parents live like 20 minutes from the Green River. Like Alec and I went hiking along the Green River while we were back there. Like it's literally right there.
Cute.
I know, not cute at all. And this is probably a bad time to be sharing this. But like this is like why I'm doing this case. Like it is literally in my neighborhood where he was doing this. There were also 2 confirmed and 2 suspected victims found in the Portland area. They were Washington victims, but these times he like brought them across the state lines to confuse police. He would also contaminate the crime scene with gum and cigarettes, and he didn't chew gum or smoke. So these were just like things done to like throw off the police. He'd also...
Wait, so he would like pick up cigarette butts?
Yeah, I don't think they were actually his. And he'd like find cigarette butts, find chewed gum, and like scatter it around the crime scene just to contaminate it.
How weird.
Well, he was really thinking this through. He'd also take like written documents out of like people's trash and like just random shit and like put garbage around just to, again, fuck with police. Occasionally, he'd get hurt while trying to get rid of a body. And when this would happen, he would blame it on a work accident because I think he worked in trucking or something. And so he could get hurt on the job. And he would even file for workers' comp to leave a paper trail, like, quote unquote, proving that these injuries happened at work.
I'm so glad this guy got caught eventually.
I know, but it took way too long. He would leave the bodies in clusters. So like he would reuse dump sites. They were typically nude. Sometimes he would pose them. And
ew, that is sick.
Yeah, it's about to get sicker. He would often return to the bodies to use them sexually. And he did this, and this is a quote from him, until the flies came.
Dude.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. And he says he didn't do that because he enjoyed necrophilia, but because it delayed his need to take another living victim, which he wasn't doing that like out of the goodness of his heart, but because like it reduces the chances of him getting caught if he killed fewer women.
Oh, right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. He's not a bad guy. He just does bad things.
Yeah. I'm not a freak who likes necrophilia. I just do it.
Oh.
Yeah. He's just beyond disgusting. Like I just said, it took a really fucking long time to get caught, and it's honestly infuriating. Police actually realized they were dealing with a serial killer really soon in 1982. So that's the year he started killing. They figured this out. They found the remains of 23-year-old Deborah Lynn Bonner in the Green River, and she was discovered by a local slaughterhouse worker. Police were quickly able to tie this to the deaths of 2 other local sex workers, Wendy Caulfield and Leanne Wilcox. So they're like, okay, we have someone out here killing sex workers. They established the Green River Task Force to work on what would end up being a $15 million investigation.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's fucking expensive.
Do you know what they started doing to try and catch him?
I mean, a lot of detectives were on the case, and I mean, I'll get into it in a minute, but yeah, it was just a lot, and it just took a really long time. And it shouldn't have, because in 1983, 18-year-old Mary Malvar disappeared after her boyfriend witnessed her get into a pickup truck with a man who looked to be about 30 to 40 years old. So her boyfriend had this description of the truck, had the description of the man, and the family was not about to just sit around and let police do this because they knew that they had to take matters into their own hands. So they went looking for the truck, and they fucking found it in front of a house. Guess whose house it was?
His house.
His house. The family literally brought the police to the house and were like, this is the truck. Like, it had marks on it. The paint was like rubbed off or something in certain places. They're like, this is it.
No.
The police went in and questioned Ridgway, but he convinced them that he knew nothing of the girl's disappearance, and they left him alone.
That's what a killer would do.
Right. Yeah, it's infuriating. And during that whole interview, Ridgway was holding his arm. He was covering the scratches that Marie left when he killed her.
That's suspicious. Someone just sitting there holding their arm.
Right?
Weirdly.
Right? And if you saw her get into the, like, you'd think that'd be enough for a search warrant.
Yeah.
And her body, I believe, was in his house at the time they questioned her. He later went and buried the body, and he poured battery acid over the scratches on his arm to hide them.
Oh, okay. Now I'm really mad.
I know. And Mary was his 29th victim. So he had already killed a shit ton of people. And, like, if you think back to it, he was seeing sex workers in Vietnam. Who's to say he didn't also kill women in Vietnam?
He definitely did.
Yeah.
He 1000% did.
Totally. And he never has admitted to it. So, like, I'm not sure, because he definitely seems proud of the shit he did. So I don't know if he would admit to it, but
he probably started practicing at the very least in Vietnam.
Or at least started thinking about it. So
Yeah.
over the next year, he killed about 20 more people right after Mary. Or Marie, I'm sorry. Do I keep calling her Mary? Her name is Marie.
That makes him feel invincible. The cops are fucking there in his house and he doesn't get caught.
He loved it. He loved the police attention. So the police, like, had his name on file at this point, but, like, Ridgway, like, kept talking to them. In 1984, Ridgway himself reached out to police to ask if he could provide any useful information or assistance.
That's a red flag.
A huge red flag. Like, the killers like this will always, like, want to involve themselves. They'll show up to the wake. They'll revisit the crime scene. They'll send letters to the police. Like, this should have been a huge hint. It's, like, infuriating, and they could have saved so many. Like, I don't,
like, it's right there.
Yeah.
It's right there.
I mean, and it probably is tough to be a detective. Like, I'm not. I don't know. It seems infuriating from this perspective. He offered information and assistance, and they had him take a polygraph test. He passed with flying colors. So they're like, well,
those are unreliable.
Exactly. They're
That's
fucking
not
unreliable.
Science.
Yeah, but they let him go because he passed. Over the next few years, he was questioned by police many more times. So many times that his coworkers at the trucking company where he worked jokingly called him Green River Gary.
Oh, I bet that just... that got him excited.
Yeah, he probably fucking loved it. The police were still making very little progress up until 1986. And then detectives got a helpful letter from a Florida prison. It was from Ted Bundy.
I thought it might be.
Ted Bundy had been reading about the case, and he wanted to help with the investigation.
Oh my God, of course. So not only do they have Ridgway getting all involved in answering questions, but Ted Bundy's like, let me try my hand.
Yeah. They just love to be involved. In Ted's letter, he wrote, "Don't ask me why I believe that I'm an expert in this area. Just accept that I am, and we'll start from there." It's like, bitch, we don't have to ask you. Yeah.
We were there.
Yeah. You've been convicted. We know.
Yeah, like he's writing in with some pseudo name.
Yeah.
Like,
just like
Tid Bandy.
Yeah. It's like, you fucking loser. Like, oh my God. But
Did he help?
They took him up on it. 2 investigators flew to Florida to interview him. And Bundy gave his opinions on the psychology and motivation of the killer because, you know, they're both serial killers. Ted Bundy had a lot of his victims were from this exact area.
Yeah.
And so Ted Bundy just kind of gave his opinion in his predictions about this guy who he called the River Man, which is creepy as fuck. Ted Bundy told police that the killer was probably revisiting dump sites in order to commit sexual acts on the victims' bodies.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, it turned out to be true. And he told police that if they found a fresh body, they should stake it out and wait for the killer to come back.
Yes, that's what I've been thinking this whole time.
Yeah, it's great advice.
Why didn't they just like pick 2 nights a week to follow Ridgeway? Or why didn't they just
Well, they couldn't
stake
follow
out?
him. They didn't know.
I guess do a little like...
Yeah, they probably could have.
Yeah, or just hang out at that highway where you said that he was picking up a lot of the sex workers.
Right. There's a lot of things they could have done. And an infuriating part of this case, I think, is that it probably would have been solved much quicker if the women weren't sex workers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that police probably, I mean, it was a huge case and it was in the news a lot and they spent $15 million on it. So I can't say for certain, but I get that feeling.
I do too.
It's very sad and infuriating. That's the theme of this lesson.
So many emotions.
Yeah.
All right, back to Ted Bundy.
The investigators got a lot of information from the things Bundy said, but also a lot of information just by like kind of observing Bundy and then assuming that their killer would have similar traits. You know, for example, Bundy felt no remorse and he was proud of his crimes. So they assumed that the killer they were looking for had no remorse and was proud of his crimes. That turned out to be true.
Yeah, a safe assumption.
Mm-hmm. And through this, John E. Douglas, the mind hunter, did a profile using this information about the Green River Killer and made a full profile. And I think that if they had fully utilized this, they probably could have found him sooner because a lot of things in this profile did turn out to be true. Among other things, he stated that the killer was probably of average intelligence, divorced, had low self-esteem, was white, still sees sex workers, was an outdoorsman, was in his 20s or 30s. All these things were true. There were some things in there that weren't true, but I think overall it was a pretty good profile. But while they were doing all this, Ridgway's list of victims just continued to rise. In 1987, he was identified as the last person to be seen with 2 victims. So police called him in and they collected a DNA sample from him. But this was the 80s and they couldn't really do anything with it.
Yeah, when were they able to test against DNA? Because I don't even know. I know it was recent.
They were able to do some things with DNA, but not much until 2001, when 2 new methods of DNA analysis came into use. And these 2 new methods allowed for the sequencing and comparison of fragments of DNA. So before this, you needed like a full DNA profile, but now they could do it with just pieces. So police DNA collected from 3 of Ridgway's victims, and it was a match. So in November of 2001, Ridgway was picked up along Pacific Avenue South, the same stretch of highway where he abducted most of his victims, and he was booked for soliciting prostitution. That's kind of just how they got him in the car. Later, he was charged with 48 counts of murder. And Ridgway pleaded guilty to all counts. He pleaded guilty separately to each of them. It took about 10 minutes to read through all the names while he pled guilty to every single one.
Ew, and he doesn't even know their names. Probably.
He
right?
doesn't. I found a quote from him that I didn't even put in here because I was just so disgusted. But police would like try to have him like identify his victims. Like they'd show him a picture and he said something like, I don't remember my victims. Like I have more memory of the trash alongside the road.
Like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah, he was disgusting. And he pled guilty in order to avoid the death penalty. Part of his plea deal was that he would also help with the investigation and, you know, bring closure to some of the cases where he was suspected as the killer. And it kind of seemed like he would tell the truth because, like, a lot of times killers will claim killing people that they didn't actually kill. But there was this one time where police presented him with a case and he said, like, no, that's not mine. And when they asked him why he wasn't just claiming it because he was so proud of all the other killings that he did, he said that he has pride in what he does and he doesn't want to steal credit from somebody else.
That is disgusting.
Yeah, he's the worst of the worst. Like, it cannot be overstated.
I could have a soundboard for this lesson that has like 6 phrases. That's disgusting. Fuck this guy. Yeah. And just be able to press them throughout this because...
Yeah, it's like, and I know we're talking about it on like a podcast and it's entertainment, but it's truly just Like, disgusting is not a strong enough word. And it's just, I don't understand how this could have even happened. Ridgway didn't keep any trophies from his victims, but if they were wearing jewelry, he would take that and he'd leave it in the Kenworth Motor Truck Plant women's bathroom. And he did that because he said, my favorite thing was maybe if someone was walking around with a piece of jewelry that they found in that bathroom. So he got kind of like a sick pleasure from someone wearing the jewelry of one of his victims.
Yeah, that's like a creepy little secret.
Yeah.
Because I also feel like in his mind, maybe he's like, that person knows that that's not their jewelry, but they took it from the bathroom. Yeah. And I know that they did that. And I also know where that jewelry came from.
Yeah.
And they have no idea.
He's just so creepy. He received a life sentence in 2003 and the title of the most prolific serial killer in U.S. history. At his sentencing, he cried. He said, "The ladies who were not found, may they rest in peace. They need a better place than where I gave them." But during the rest of his trial, he did not show any remorse.
Yeah, where did that come from?
They were just complete crocodile tears.
Yeah.
He did not have any remorse. At this point, prosecutors were aware of another 12 murders that Ridgway committed that he was not charged for. And like I said, his plea deal involved helping with the investigations. Since then, the bodies of 4 more victims have been recovered, but searching for others has been stopped by the police. However, private organizations are still looking. As we said, Ridgway admits the total number of victims is closer to 75 or 80.
They should find the other bodies. There should at least be efforts to bring closure to the families.
And there kind of were. Like, they were interviewing him, trying to get his help. And he was, I think, trying to help them. But, like, he just killed so many women and didn't care about them. He literally regarded them as less than trash on the street. So he didn't even remember a lot of the places he dumped bodies. And he evaded capture for so long, largely because he didn't kill anyone close to him. He admitted to considering killing his mother, his second wife, and his son, but he never acted on it. Instead, he chose people with no connection to him and people who lived on the edges of society, runaways and sex workers. And I also want to note that his victims, for the most part, ranged from like their mid-teens to early 20s. Like, they were very young women at the beginning of their lives. And like we already said, young runaways and sex workers are less likely to be reported missing, and their deaths are more likely to be dismissed by police. So he was able to get away with this for a really long time. And like we've also said, many of his victims have never been found, identified, confirmed. So a lot of families are left without closure, and that's tragic. And that is the story of Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer.
Wow. Thank you for educating us. That was awful.
Yeah.
I hope to never do it again.
I know. It was very awful. I'm so sorry to all of you. I hope you like true crime. Because if you don't, you're just sad and upset.
Right. This episode is over. I need to go home and cry.
Yeah, it can be over. But first, I need to cite my sources. I have newshub.com, Cairo7.com. I got a ton of information from the Green River Killer Wikipedia page, biography.com, chrisabel.com, and a grunge.com article called How the Green River Killer Was Eventually Caught by Deborah Kelly. And that is my lesson.
Okay, thanks for that. On that note, let's hear a word from our sponsors.
Yay, ourselves.
Yeah.
It is back to school time. We are so excited, and we know you are too. And what better way to go back to school than with a new wardrobe?
There's no better time to refresh your t-shirt collection, your sweatshirt collection. I think my favorite, because I know my school is going to be freaking freezing, is our Night Class University crew neck. It's Champion brand. It's really freaking cute. Or you could go for the one you're wearing right now, or just plain black tee that says Night Classy in a really cute font.
I know a lot of you probably go to a university, and what more fun way to confuse your friends than wear a shirt that says Night Classy University? You'll be the mysterious girl sitting in the back what's night class university? I thought you went to this university. No, you go to a podcast university. Wear your sweatshirt. You can find that through our link tree. It is in all our social media bios as well as the show notes.
Go get yours now and then send us a picture of you in it. We'll see you there. Okay, that's all. Bye.
Bye.
Hey friends, we're back, hopefully for a more fun and light lesson than the first on this episode. So I have a lot of information. Let's just get into it.
Tell me a story. I'm ready.
Earlier this year, we, meaning you, me, and the boyfriends, went to see Godzilla versus Kong. Do you remember?
I did not go to that.
Really?
No.
I asked Tommy, I was like, was that just us or was it Kat and Alec and you and me? And he was like, Kat was the one who wanted to go see it.
No. I would never want to go see that. A.
It was really good.
And B, I was not there.
That is so funny because I thought that maybe you weren't, but then I was like, I don't know, my memory's bad. Like
I know that Kelly and Clint did watch it, so maybe you're thinking of them. But yeah, I would never see that movie. I'd rather die.
That's so funny. Okay, well anyway.
Just kidding. I did enjoy King Kong Skull Island in middle school. I liked that movie. So
okay. So
maybe I don't want to like fully write it off, but I did not see it.
It was a good movie. I was like, there was just maybe like 20% more action than I would have liked because I'm not big on that. I'm like, I could literally skip fight scenes and be fine.
Oh, it's the worst part.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Anyway, so you saw, what was it? Return to Skull Island?
Yeah, the King Kong movie.
Okay. So anyway, you must know that these monsters come from an underworld. Right?
Now I do.
Okay, well, they come from the middle of the earth. It's a hollow earth, and it's not a new concept in movies. There have been plenty of ancient civilizations that cite some sort of underworld. There's Agartha, Hades lives in the underworld in Greek mythology. The Mesopotamian underworld ruled by goddess Ereshkigal. The Christian hell, Patala of the Hindu tradition. The list goes on. But at some point, hollow earth theory became a seriously considered scientific concept.
I was just going to make a joke that I'm a hollow earther. And now we're going there.
Oh, we're going there. We're going to learn all about hollow earth theory. One of the very first hollow earth theorists was a guy named Edmund Halley. His name might ring a bell since he's the guy who discovered Halley's Comet. Yeah, I learned this time around that it's not pronounced Halley's Comet.
I kind of thought it was too, because the polar bear at the zoo, I thought its name was Hayley. It was named after Halley's Comet.
No, I even had one of my ex-boyfriends, his brother called me Comet because he was always like, oh, Halley's Comet. But no, it's Halley, rhymes with valley. So Edmund Halley discovered Halley's Comet. He did it by looking back on records throughout time, and he realized that there were these consistent comet sightings every 75 years. And before him, they thought that they were all separate. But he was like, no, I think this is the same comet that keeps coming around. He did die before this hypothesis was proven. But once it was proven, he got that shit named after him. But before he died, he also had lots of other scientific works, including a theory that he came up with in 1692 to explain some bizarre and inconsistent compass readings. Essentially, he hypothesized that our planet is like a nesting egg. It contains spherical shells all within itself that spin in all different directions. The space between each shell has an atmosphere capable of supporting life.
What?
And based on readings of the magnetic field and what he knew of the gravitational pull of the sun, moon, and earth, this model, he thought, could explain the inaccuracies of the changing magnetic fields on Earth.
He thought we were literally a Russian nesting doll of Earths and tinier Earths.
Literally.
That's crazy.
And when I was reading this, I was like, oh my God, I've literally had the same thought under the influence. There was no concrete geological knowledge before the 20th century, so this left a lot of room for conspiracy, and his theory was not shot down immediately like it is nowadays by
it's
most
a
people.
fun theory. Did he think that like each layer was like a totally different forms of life, or...
There were some basics. So he thought that there was a sun for each layer. Each layer had an atmosphere. They thought that there could be beings inside of each layer, but they weren't sure exactly. Like, I couldn't find any specific predictions about like what they thought could, like, the beings looked like, but they thought that it could inhabit life.
Yeah, I need some fan fiction about the beings inside Earth.
Well, we can create some of our own fan fiction. We'll get some outlines. So it wasn't shot down. Everyone's like, nesting egg. I mean, yeah, that sounds fine. They ran with it for a little while, and then they decided that multiple spheres all within each other just sounded way too messy. And hollow earth theorists decided that there is still a hollow earth, but there's one singular inner earth, that there's a small sun in the center and it inhabits life. So this theory starts to gain a little bit more traction and it continues to grow.
The sun in the middle kind of makes sense because the inside of Earth is really, really hot.
I know. I was like, I think that he was onto something. He just took a wrong turn somewhere.
Yeah. He's almost there.
Yeah, we'll hoe out on science at the conclusion of this lesson.
Okay.
Alec, you can show that first picture. This is essentially what they got. Oh, wait, actually ignore the North and the South Pole. But yeah, you can see that there's that sun in the middle, and it's just a hollow earth. It's like a nesting egg, but only two.
Wait, so the sun is in the middle, but then the inside, it's just like flat, like a map. Like
It's concave still.
Oh.
Yeah.
And the sun is just sitting in the middle, like you could sail a boat to the sun because it looks like the sun is in the middle of the ocean.
It's an open air.
Oh.
Or actually, well, that one's actually, I showed it to us too soon. That's a different theory that comes about in a minute.
Okay.
But the way that it's pictured initially is that there's like this earth and then inside of it there's another sphere and there's just a layer of atmosphere.
Okay.
Like a nesting egg, literally just like a nesting egg.
Okay.
I see questions in your eyes.
There are questions in my eyes, but like also none of this makes sense. So I don't know if it's like, I don't know if we need to dwell on how much it doesn't make sense.
Well, I want to make sure that it doesn't make sense. Like you can't picture it.
I can't picture it.
Okay, picture a nesting egg.
Yes, but then how is the sun on the inside of the earth? Like,
because it has its own atmosphere. It doesn't think that the sun is the middle of our solar system.
so the earth is a marble and the sun is orbiting the earth in this idea within
the actual earth.
Okay, I think I understand.
And we're living in the middle one. That's
No,
why we see the sun.
We're living on the one on the surface.
There's another sun.
Okay.
Yeah,
there's two
multiple suns.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I was hung up on.
For every layer inside of this theory of Earth, there's a sun for each atmosphere, which makes them able to inhabit life. Okay. Along comes a man named John Cleves Sims Jr. He was a War of 1812 veteran, but that is not where his fame came from. He had only an elementary school education, which I feel like wasn't that rare at the time.
Yeah,
but
he was probably smart.
He was dedicated to learning. He would read and learn on his own. His self-education helped him form his own theories about Earth, and he adapted Edmund Halley's theory to include massive holes in our Earth at the North and South Pole. So like what we were just looking at here, it's our Earth, but there's holes at the poles so that you can go into hollow Earth.
Yes.
And
there's treasure down there.
There's treasure, there's life. It's fucking
There's
crazy.
lizard people.
Yes. A lot of people think that either lizard people are down there or that lizard people are the ones preventing us from knowing about hollow Earth.
It's true. I am a lizard person.
That would make sense. These holes would later be known as Sims holes. He even publishes a book called Circular Number 1 in 1818. And he was like, there's without a doubt life inside of Earth. He said the earth was, quote, stocked with thrifty vegetables and animals, if not men. He believed his theory applied to all of the planets, not just Earth. In fact, the entire universe was hollow.
Actually, I was about to say, what a time to be alive where you could just make up something crazy.
Yeah,
And people would
are like,
think it was science.
huh.
But like people still fucking do that.
There's
There's people right now that think the earth is flat.
Don't even get me started on that. I was going to make that a segment of this, but I was like, I cannot.
Yeah, that's its own thing.
That's its whole other thing. Yeah, maybe that'll be part 2,
Okay.
crazy Earth theories. So yeah, he's just making shit up on the fly, and people are like, maybe, but no. The general public and scientists rejected his ideas. Do you think he gave a crap?
No.
No, of course not.
Who wouldn't love the idea that there's a abundance of vegetables under the earth?
Yeah.
I love it.
It opens up the world of possibility.
I know.
It's like if there are thrifty vegetables inside of the earth, then maybe I can increase my own vegetable intake.
I was going to say, like, I want like a watermelon flavored carrot. Like, just like any kind of vegetable I want.
You're like making me think of Willy Wonka right now.
There's just like a vegetable Willy Wonka down there.
Oh, shit. Yeah, maybe
that's a
that's where
scientific fact.
Willy Wonka came from. Well, you said it. You could draw a picture of it. That probably makes it true.
Totally.
Oh my gosh, we're on to something.
Grape flavored tomatoes.
Sims was extremely ambitious, just like we are. He was determined, and he had a goal to lead an expedition to the North Pole. He gave lectures. He traveled all around the country to give these lectures on his hollow earth theory with the Sims holes. He published his ideas, and eventually he got enough supporters to back him in 1822. Sims and his supporters even got Congress to vote on funding for this expedition. It was swiftly denied, but John kept up his dream until his death in 1849.
And I'm sure there was 1 or 2 members of Congress that voted for it.
I would
too.
Why would you not?
Why not?
We're going to waste taxpayer money on dumb shit anyway, like overspending on the military and police forces. So
you get
why
guns
not?
or thrifty vegetables. You make that choice.
I want thrifty vegetables and animals, if not men. There is a monument to John Sims and his work in Hamilton, Ohio, which is just outside of Cincinnati. Yeah.
Fun.
If you show the second slide, Alec, you can see his remains were there, and
And there's a hollow
there's
earth.
a hollow earth on it. Yeah. It was actually stolen one year, and they found it in a neighbor's
Oh my
yard and put that
God.
shit back on there.
It looks like the Death Star or a donut.
It looks like a donut.
It does look like a donut.
Is that his
yeah.
grave?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
I know.
There's even a cage around it.
Yeah, they're trying to make sure nobody steals the hollow earth again.
It's a very low cage. You could easily just hop over.
They just make a brick wall all around the monument. You can't even see it. You just be like, there's the tip of the monument.
They make like a hollow earth around the monument.
Oh, okay. That's an idea. Yeah. That's the realest hollow earth there will ever be.
How do you know? You've never been to the hollow earth.
You don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know that. I don't know that you don't know.
Who's to say?
Not I.
Solid earth is just a theory.
Can I ask a
There's no
question,
way to prove
Hayley?
it. Yes.
So in this map, it kind of looks like Middle Earth in Lord of the Rings, and there's like lots of countries with names like Swang and Hilar and Milesis and all that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So was he just like losing his mind, like making up completely fantasy a world?
I don't know. So that map, I just pulled it from Wikipedia. I don't know who made that one, but it's a good depiction of what Sims. There are tons of maps and images you can look up. So I'm sure, I mean, underworlds exist in so many different cultures, religions, mythologies that who knows what has been decided about the underworld. But no, I don't think that was like a specifically Sims map.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But yes, I do think he was losing his mind.
Okay. Because scientists knew in the 1800s the Earth was not hollow. Like the ancient Greeks knew the mass of the world. If you know the mass, you would know it's not hollow, right?
And to understand gravity, like it has to be not hollow.
Well, some hollow earthers thought that, and I think it's this next guy we're going to talk about, some hollow earthers thought that gravity wasn't real and that it was the centripetal force of all of the different spheres spinning that held us to the ground.
Wow.
So yeah, they were really just making up
conspiracy
anything.
theories.
Yes, exactly. I shouldn't even call it hollow earth theory. It's a conspiracy theory. But it's
Hollow
incredible.
head theory, am I right?
More like goes in one pool, comes out the other. It's incredible to me, though, and by incredible, I don't mean amazing. I mean, I'm dumbfounded to see how many people fully believe in this, even now today, because I started this research, and then my mom sent me a TikTok on Agartha and another guy that we'll talk about, and people being like, it's all a cover up. Like,
Oh my, people will believe anything.
right. If you have some things that could be counted as evidence and you make it seem like something could have been covered up, like some conspiracies have turned out to be true, but this
Not crazy
is
batshit
crazy.
ones.
This is crazy. Do you want to learn about possibly the most crazy hollow earth conspiracy theorist? Are you
Yes,
ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. This guy named Cyrus Teed picked right up where good old Johnny Sims Jr. left off. He's fucking wild. Cyrus Teed served in the Union Army, and after that he became a herbalist, and he studied alchemy after the war. He had quite the resume as a natural healer, cult leader, and conspiracy theorist. He denounced the scientific method, the Copernican theory, atomic theory, modern chemistry, conventional surveying techniques, and optics. And while he was at it, he was like, I'm gonna submit to, but also reverse the hollow earth theory, and I'm gonna call it cellular cosmology.
I mean, it sounds legit.
It was legit enough to him. Things happen, okay? Cyrus proposed that the surface of the earth was concave and not convex. According to him, the entire universe exists in the 25,000 mile circumference of this inside out earth. The sun is the center of this cosmic egg, and it's a helix, kind of like DNA. Mm-hmm. It's dark on one side and light on the other side, which creates day and night. According to him, the moon was just a reflection of Earth, and any astronomical views are simply illusions. Stars, not real. Comets, not real. Anything you see up there, like, it's all an illusion. Where does he get all his ideas, you may ask? From divine illumination, of course. In 1869, he was practicing his alchemy with electricity when he got shocked and blacked out.
Good.
He had a vision of God in the form of a beautiful woman. God is a woman. Who told him he was to become a Messiah. He was sent to this earth to reveal the true cosmology to the world, using his scientific knowledge to interpret the Bible. Was it brain damage? Was it divine intervention? We'll never know.
Was it all just a big attention grab?
Was it insanity? I don't know. But I do know that he took on the name Koresh, the Hebrew name for Cyrus, and created his own religion.
Good.
Yep, the Cretan Universology or Koreshanity, aka combo of Cretan and insanity.
Yeah.
They used the Old and New Testaments of the Bible. He preached maintaining a celibate lifestyle, ensuring that it would give people immortality. And for the times, this was a pretty revolutionary idea. He said that women are equals to men. So he recruited a ton of women. 75% of his members were female. Of course, the earth is hollow. And to his followers, Cyrus did what Jesus couldn't do. And that was answering all of the questions about the universe all the time.
I want a cult leader to try to recruit me so I can know for sure if I would or wouldn't be sucked into something like this, because I think I would.
You're like, this is all sounding pretty good.
It sounds good to me. I'm with it.
You might like this next part. Okay, Koresh and his followers started a communal society. Okay, they moved from like Chicago down to Estero, Florida.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, getting
I
tropical.
moved to Florida yesterday. I'm
Florida's
so down to
whack,
move to
and you belong there.
I love Florida.
I know you do. The both of you are some Florida freaks.
Yeah, we're hoes. We are hoes for Florida. We've been to Florida like 4 times in the last year.
That's insane.
We love it.
I feel like Midwesterners and Easterns' thoughts on Florida are the West Coast thoughts on California.
No.
No, you love California just as much.
Yes, I love California. But
Okay.
I do, the thing about California that I don't like, and this applies to the whole West Coast, is that the ocean is cold. But in Florida, you can swim in the ocean and it's nice and warm and there are fish and I like it.
Fish and sharks and stingrays.
Yeah, and manatees.
Ooh, I hate the ocean. I got freaked out by a manatee and I was in a boat. I'm not into it.
You're crazy.
I know.
Manatees are cute.
Meanwhile, I'm like, I love mermaids. I was a mermaid in a past life.
No,
that's
you weren't.
lies.
Bitch, you're scared of the ocean.
What was I in a past life then?
You were a colonial woman.
Right. Yes. That's true.
Yeah.
I could bake up some homemade bread real fucking quick.
Easy.
I don't even know a recipe. I just know it would come to me.
Yeah. Throw some yeast, flour, water.
Boom.
Boom.
Boom,
Bread.
baby. Bread.
Bread.
All right, let's get back to this lesson. I got a lot of information. Okay, it doesn't stop there. They start this community in Estero, Florida. They erect this whole little city. They make their own electricity, which was really rare for the time. And they even had their own political party. It was thought that this commune city was the coming capital in 1894. So Koresh and his followers prepared for 8 million people to show up. Do you want to guess how many people did show up?
64 million.
You're not close.
I squared it.
You would have been closer if you
No, I
did
did.
64 because 200 people showed up out of the 8 million expected.
Darn.
And if that doesn't just put a damper on your party, then I don't know what will.
I would be pleased.
It would be a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
I would be
8
pissed.
million is too many.
Well, if you invite 8 million, that's your problem.
Imagine if you bought 8 million pizzas and now only 200 people showed up. Now you have extra pizza.
I think you need to look through the lens of an insane person who creates their own religion.
Oh my God. But speaking of pizza, I have mozzarella sticks we can make when we get home.
Oh, fuck yeah. That is something I can commit to after we get done with this episode.
8 million mozzarella sticks.
Oh my God. I'm
Good
going to have
thing
to
there's
buy
just 2
all
of
new
us.
pants for school. Okay, so 200 people show up. They were expecting 8 million. They're like, maybe this isn't the coming capital. So Koresh declares throughout preaching his own religion that he would be lifted into heaven when he dies, along with all of his followers. Well, when he did die in 1908, after being pistol whipped in an altercation with a local in Florida. I'm just trying so hard to recruit you guys for the anti-Florida. Not even anti-Florida. Florida's just wacky. It's just crazy.
My dad lives in Miami. Miami's nice.
Your dad's not from Florida, though.
That's true, but I go there and I like it.
Okay, well, hopefully you don't get pistol whipped next time. So he dies after getting pistol whipped, and members keep him in a bathtub for 5 days, just waiting for him to resurrect. Spoiler alert, he didn't.
He just smelled really fucking bad. I hope they at least put lye on him.
Literally, the local health department pulled up and was like, all right, guys, let's wrap this up. We gotta do something here.
Oh,
and they
God.
forced them to have an actual funeral for this guy. And of course, after nothing happened when he promised that they would all be lifted up to heaven with him, the community dwindled until there were only 5 members remaining in 1956, and the final member died in 1982. That land, which is several hundred acres, is now a state park in Florida. You can tour it. You can go to farmers markets, kayak, canoe. You could even get married there for all these fucking Florida lovers.
Okay, tell me Florida's not the best state when you can go to a farmer's market on the site of a former crazy cult man. Like, that's so cool.
That's so Florida.
I love it.
Oh my gosh, you're complaining about humidity here in Memphis. Man,
That's true.
humidity there is something else.
But I don't mind the humidity except what it does to my hair. And I can survive. I'll be okay.
Okay. Well, visit that park. Let me know how it goes.
I will.
Let me know if you see the ghost of Cyrus T. Koresh.
Oh my God, is it haunted?
I think there are ghost tours there. Yeah.
What?
It's a whole thing.
It's amazing.
It's a whole thing. All right, let's move on to this next guy. A lot of conspiracy theories surround this guy, Admiral Richard Byrd. He was an American naval officer and explorer. He went on the very first expedition of flying over the North Pole in 1926 with his co-pilot Floyd Bennett, and they were even financially backed by President Ford. Their flight lasted 15 hours and 57 minutes. And they even claimed to have flown over the North Pole and saw vegetation where it wouldn't have been expected. Upon returning to the U.S., Byrd and Bennett, I believe, were awarded the Medal of Honor. I don't know. It's kind of murky because so much conspiracy theory does surround him. But anyway, his diary contained flight records. It was officially released in 1996, and on some pages, there's evidence of erased stuff on there and different records from his official typewritten report to the U.S. government when he actually got back in the, in the 20s or 30s. It's thought now that Byrd actually flew about 80% of the way there and then turned back due to an oil leak and falsified his claim of reaching the pole. Some people think that he thought that he reached the pole but didn't. Hollow Earth believers say that Byrd is perfect evidence of the Hollow Earth theory because he flew over the North Pole, he saw the vegetation where it wasn't supposed to be, and he flew into a Sims hole and made contact with those inside of Hollow Earth.
What?
Yes.
But he never even said he made contact with anyone, did he?
Not that I could see, because it's also kind of murky as to whether this is his actual diary or not.
Okay.
Because it was like
Did he
released
write
in 1996. Yeah, so him and his co-pilot had to write things down to each other because they couldn't hear in the plane. It's really murky. If you want to look into this, there are plenty of websites that have the quote unquote transcripts from his diary.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to find any actual pages from his diary. It's all like hearsay on the internet, I guess.
Anytime I research like a conspiracy for this show, I end up on some crazy fucking websites.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, you know, it's bad when you have to make the window that you're looking at on like all the way blown up for it to all like look right and have the website format.
Yeah. When it's like a black background and like neon green Comic Sans, like covering the page.
That's literally what it was, except for it was Arial black font with blue neon.
Good.
So that was fun. Hopefully I don't have a virus. And speaking of these Hollow Earth believers, they think that Byrd's trip to Hollow Earth was all covered up by international banking conspiracy. They use his diary again as proof that he went to Hollow Earth, and they suspect that the government forbade him from ever speaking of this encounter.
Okay.
More recently, this guy named Rodney Clough has put out a bunch of Hollow Earth conspiracy materials. He wrote a book called World Top Secret, Our Earth is Hollow.
World Top Secret?
Yeah. The most recent edition of that actually came out earlier this year in 2021.
No.
He believes that half of the planet is taken up by the surface weight. And then there's empty space. And then there's something else.
But why and how?
He also believes that stars are not stars, but thank God he gives us more details. He says they're just chunks of ice floating in space that reflect light. Also, gravity isn't real. We are held to Earth by the centripetal forces.
It's like we have glue on the bottoms of our feet.
Right. You're born with sticky feet.
Yeah. we are spiders.
Oh my
There is no
gosh.
difference between humans and spiders.
Humans are spiders. If anyone tells you different, they're part of the Illuminati, New World Order.
The pedophile cabal.
They were born in they were born in the Denver airport
Yeah.
bathroom. This guy, Rodney Clough, thinks that we've made contact with beings in the hollow earth. But of course, all the evidence has been covered up by the international banking conspiracy. He even headed this thing called the North Pole Inner Earth Expedition. He had a goal to take an ice-breaking ship to the North Pole, find hollow earth, and make contact. Easy peasy, bada boom, bada bang.
If he had a GoFundMe, I would fund it.
How much would you give?
$5, but I would still do it. It's something.
I don't know. It just doesn't really feel like your heart's in it. I mean, you're
If
ready
enough,
to...
if enough people gave $5, he could do it. And then I just want people like this to find out that they're stupid on their own.
My God, do you know how many times I've had the thought, if everyone just gave me $1, like everyone in this place or everyone,
What if we all
this
gave
school.
each other $1?
then we would all, nothing would change. That would be a very good point, Kat. You should.
What if all of you listening donated $1 per month on Patreon?
all of our dreams would come true?
We could afford 2 editors. We already have 1. Now we need another.
Well, technically we have 2. Just one gets paid. Alec is just like sulking.
Shout out Tim. Is Tim editing all of them now?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Big
I thought I
T-Dog.
thought that you guys were gonna take turns, but Big T-Dog is
Big T-Dog in
on
the
it.
house.
Yeah, we can be obnoxious as we want. It's Big T-Dog's prob.
Oh no. He's gonna quit. Don't quit.
I've taken extensive notes for T-Dog.
Okay, let's get this lesson done. I still have more information somehow. So there were some major setbacks, though, with the North Pole Inner Earth expedition. For example, backers and members on his team kept dying of like what he says are weird circumstances, which I'll give it to him. They're like kind of weird. People were dying from everything from cancer to plane crashes. It never ends up happening, and Clough puts all the blame on New World Order.
Big Pharma.
Big Pharma, big paper, big Mother Earth, big hollow Mother Earth.
Big Solid Earth is just really squashing his plans.
Okay, this next part is something, okay? We're going to start talking about Nazis. Some high-ranking Nazis to use hollow earth theory to justify some campaigns across Europe. Quote, certain members of Hitler's inner circle of advisors were interested in different parts of the esoteric world. There were a couple of different teams who were sent off by Hitler to try to do certain types of archaeological work related to Hollow Earth, says Holly Folk, an associate professor in the Department of Global Humanities and Religions at Western Washington University.
I went there for a year.
Hey, and then she dropped out. Woo! She partied too hardy.
No.
Just kidding.
The
just
opposite.
kidding.
Quite the opposite.
She studied too hard and they promoted her.
Yes.
They're like, go, be free, horse girl.
No, I don't know. I don't know why. I didn't, I don't know.
Explain yourself.
I don't feel like it.
All right, well, I'll explain this. Adolf Hitler directed Dr. Heinz Fischer to spy on the British this one time. And since he believed in the inverted hollow earth theory, all Dr. Fischer thought he had to do was point telescopic cameras up to the sky, up to the atmosphere to see the Atlantic Ocean.
What?
Because reflections and shit. No, they saw nothing because the earth is not hollow. And hollow earth theories also came about in Nazi Germany, independent of Christianity, believe it or not. Christianity. It was Koresh. Yeah, it's Koresh.
Oh, okay.
Anity.
I forgot about that, and I thought you were just saying Christianity weird to be funny.
I'm like, all right, Hayley, that's
I'm having
you're
a
trying
hard
too
time.
hard.
I haven't drank wine in a long time, and it is really having a party in my brain.
Well, anyway, there's a German word, and I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I'll try. The German word for these hollow earth theories, Hohlwetter.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Hohlweltlehere. Who the fuck knows?
Who the fuck knows? Not me.
Some hollow earth believers believe that Hitler and other Nazis escaped Germany at the end of World War II by going to Antarctica and entering hollow earth through a Sims hole and remained there today. The Hollow Earth Research Society in Ontario, Canada backs this belief. They point as evidence to the Allies' discovery post-World War II that more than 2,000 German and Italian scientists vanished after the war.
They fucking went into hiding. They
went into hiding, but also there was Operation Paperclip. It was a secret U.S. intelligence program in which they took or recruited, I don't know, it's murky, more than 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians from the former Nazi Germany to the United States to employ them so that they could use them for the future, like the Cold War and the space race. So they just, do what conspiracy theorists do and ignore the facts.
Yeah.
So I have a few more points to hit on, and then we are all done piecing out on this learning journey. Let's talk about modern hollow earth theory. One of the theories formed around modern earth has to do with the northern lights. They attached that to hollow earth. Edmund Halley, like one of the first guys to talk about hollow earth, he believed that the lights were formed by particles. They were escaping in between the outer shell and the first internal sphere. Another guy, Marshall B. Gardner, hypothesized that the lights came from the internal sun, so inside the shell of Earth, and escaped through the Sims holes, and that's why we only see them near the poles.
I mean, that makes sense.
Right. If this
As someone
were true,
who doesn't understand science, that could make sense.
Well, let me convince you further. Yeah. The variation in lights are due to clouds passing by in the inner Earth. And moisture in the atmosphere and the sun passing through it creates the rainbow effect. That's how we get the different colors.
I'm buying it. I'm a hollow earther.
I think that that's the most convincing piece of evidence for me.
Yeah, I think so too. It's
the inner sun
first
for me.
thing. It's the inner sun for me. It's the first thing. Like, if you accept that the inner sun exists, this makes sense. Like, who's to say the inner sun isn't green or purple, like the northern lights?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Right. But even so, even if it's just a ball of fire like ours is, it passes through that moisture, just like how you get rainbows in this plane of existence.
It's like you just have to accept one crazy thing, and then the rest of it makes sense.
And then you're done for.
Yeah.
So to review, general hollow earth beliefs are typically agreed on that it is a lush tropical paradise inside of Earth that likely houses an advanced race of humans, aliens, and or giants. Inhabitants are descendants of ancient races, possibly guided there through the North Pole opening by God himself. They're always depicted as advanced beings and peace-loving. They're hoes for science, for sure. And the perfect temperature, approximately 76 degrees, and perfect climate allows these beings inside of Earth to be fucking huge, including plants. So I guess that's how we get King Kong.
I want to say this is crazy, but I kind of believe that aliens come from the ocean.
Yeah, there's so much we don't know about the ocean. But also, crazy things coming from the ocean is not the same thing as hollow earth, Kat.
It's not, but at the same time, it is.
Is it? How, though?
Because they're advanced beings coming from deep inside the earth.
But not inside the earth.
Inside the water.
They're not into...
Sorry, this is so dumb. I don't actually believe that.
I mean, I guess believing in different layers of existence within Earth and stuff. Like, I don't know. We think aliens could exist, and that's a different layer in our atmosphere and universe. So,
and like outer space could be the shell inside someone else's Earth, and we're just in the center of the Russian nesting doll.
We're just a part of the nesting egg.
Yeah, and we're the center.
I can't tell you how many times I've thought this under the influence, and I'm just so glad that there's a whole theory dedicated to it.
Finally, my thoughts have been validated.
Am I a Hollow Earther?
I'm going to get on YouTube and watch like 20 hours straight of Hollow Earth conspiracy YouTube videos, and I'm going to come out a new woman.
This is a conspiracy podcast now.
I am Rush Limbaugh.
No. In case you can't tell that we are completely joking, let's end this learning journey hoeing out for science with a reminder that Earth is composed of solid layers of crust and ligwah macquid liquid magma surrounding a hot dense core made primarily of iron and nickel, and quote from the geologist and paleontologist Donald Prothero, no human could go more than a few hundred meters in the cross before being killed by the heat and pressure.
But how do we know?
We don't. So we just need to get that ice-breaking ship. That's also what I call my social skills. And go to the North motherfucking Pole.
Yeah, donate to the GoFundMe.
Y'all, I did so much reading this week. Let me cite my sources. Okay, I used Atlas Obscura, 2 articles there. The Hollow Earth is filled with giants, Germans, and a little sun, and the Cretan State Historic Site. friendsofthecreation.org, YouTube for ancient aliens on the Hollow Earth theory. That's where I started, because I needed to know how crazy it got. Space.com, sacredtext.com, Wikipedia for pretty much every person in this lesson. Inverse, the best scene in Godzilla vs. Kong, an ancient protoplanet may be buried beneath the Pacific Ocean. Wired.com, the Hollow Earth theory isn't so funny anymore and fantastically wrong. The legendary scientist who swore our planet is hollow. Liveabout.com about Nazis and the Hollow Earth, and Vice, as well as New York Post, both on Hollow Earth theory. That's my lesson. I hope you learned something and didn't get too attached to this theory.
That was so good.
Oh, thank you.
I thoroughly loved that. Now we're going to go sit on our couch and drink the rest of this box of wine and eat mozzarella sticks.
All right, let's do it. I'm ready.
I'm ready too. Thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed this, please rate, review, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. Tell a friend. We love when you guys share on your Instagram stories that you're listening to this podcast. And please remember to tag us so we can reshare. We love that so much. Thank you. And thank you for listening. And 3, 2, 1, class dismissed.